So remember when we said that the GMA 3 drama surrounding TJ Holmes was nowhere close to being over? Well, we were right on that because things just got worse for TJ after more and more women started coming forward to expose him for taking advantage of his position to have affairs with multiple women in the GMA studio. People said that this was going to blow up in Amy Robach's face, but nobody expected the chaos to start this soon because listen, this drama is wild. It's safe to say that at this point, this scandal has grown way beyond the cheating drama between Amy and TJ. Sure, that was what started this whole thing, but it has grown way beyond that because TJ has been exposed multiple times for having affairs with not one, not two, but several other women in the ABC studios, and things have gotten messier than we could have expected. A few days after his affair with Amy became public, he was exposed for also having an affair with the former GMA producer Natasha Singh, who was also married at the time. And it wasn't a fling or anything like that because the affair went on for 3 years before TJ's now ex-wife Mara Lee found out about it and made him put an end to it. Well, Natasha might have been one of his first affairs over at ABC Studios, but she certainly was not his last. Back in 2015, he had an affair with a young script coordinator named Jasmine Pettaway, who was 13 years his junior. A source spoke on the affair saying, "It was Jasmine's first real job in television and it was a big deal for her. She was looking for a mentor and she reached out to several people. TJ was someone who was responsive, but he absolutely abused the position of trust. Holmes was someone who would grab drinks and he and Jasmine started doing that. You must remember he was a correspondent at the time and he's taking time to speak with her about her work or whatever." The source continued, "I don't know how long that had been going on before it got sexual, but I do know the first time it did was in his office and he was about to go on air in a couple of hours. They did the nasty and I know she was confused afterward as to what it meant. It didn't last long, but you have to wonder if he ever invested in being a mentor at all. Jasmine was a beautiful girl and he had it all on his terms. He was interested and then he wasn't. This was a young woman starting out in a difficult industry, looking for role models and mentors, and she got TJ. No one talked about abuse of power back then, but stuff happened." Now, Jasmine was not the only subordinate that he tried to pursue a relationship with, because he also got exposed for making moves on another subordinate and he ended up making her feel stressed and freaked out by his unwanted advances. Again, when we consider that TJ was in a position of authority, it makes sense why the women would feel a type of way about his advances and get freaked out. An insider at ABC Studios said that's who he was. Did he ever want to be professional or just spoil the fruits he'd been given? I don't know. I just know he was always looking to be the guy with the swagger. He didn't seem to care that he was married or that he could be risking his job. But somehow that's not all the affairs that TJ had at the studio, because he just got exposed for a 5th affair. According to Page 6, still suspended GMA 3 co-host TJ Holmes has a suspected in-office romp with another junior staffer. The insider claims that the alleged encounter occurred in 2015, the same year a then-married Holmes allegedly had a months-long affair with subordinate Jasmine Pettaway, whom he allegedly did the nasty with in his office. Our source tells us this woman was in her mid-20s and worked as an overnight associate producer at ABC at the time of the alleged encounter. The source continued, Holmes and the staffer, who is no longer with the network, were allegedly in his office sometime after 3 a.m. with the door closed. We're told a bunch of rustling could be heard coming from inside the room and that the woman emerged looking completely flushed and like a deer in headlights. It is unclear whether the staffer ever reported the alleged encounter to HR. Now, just because this 5th woman didn't report TJ to the higher ups doesn't mean that other people didn't, because according to a source, TJ was reported to an executive producer on GMA, but the producer decided to turn a blind eye to the situation and pretend like it wasn't a ticking time bomb. But the wildest part of all this is the fact that TJ's latest lover, Amy, had no idea about these other women that TJ had affairs with. Reports have it that she was blindsided by the news of all these women coming forward to expose TJ, especially since most of them were his subordinates, which made things even dicier. Sources claim that Amy was blindsided by the volume of boyfriend TJ Holmes' alleged past affairs, and she feels like she's collateral damage in the scandal. Now, this gets even more interesting because insiders reveal that TJ has admitted to purposefully hiding the true extent of his affairs at ABC from Amy. The insider added that TJ never expected things to blow up in his face like they did, and that he never thought that the affairs were going to become public knowledge, especially since they all happened so long ago, and that he thought everyone involved had moved past it. The insider also claims that TJ hates the way the stories are being brought up again because he doesn't feel like it has anything to do with the situation with Amy. He believes that Amy is different from all the other affairs because they're publicly together, and he even left his wife for her. So he doesn't think that it's fair that his past misdeeds are being brought up now. Well, trust the internet to roast, because that's exactly what people have been doing. There have been so many comments dragging and mocking him, saying things like, "I really wish they would throw TJ away and lock him up with a therapist and an upstanding father figure because he is sorely lacking." Serial cheating like this points heavily to a pattern of lack of accountability, lack of remorse, and a need to validate his ego, an illusion of authority by repeatedly abusing the power, influence, and trust ever entrusted to him. Just very weird, low-key creepy behavior. Creepy because the lack of care and awareness is astounding. Other comments said, TJ's behavior is starting to border on predatory and opportunistic. ABC tossing banana peels out here. I don't think TJ ever fell in love with Amy Robach. I think TJ was having a workplace fling with Amy that he never intended to be made public. TJ is over at the GMA slinging D like he thinks he's doing community service. And at this point, we need a calculator and a draft to keep up with his affairs. Nobody could truly have predicted how messy this case has turned out to be, and I think it's going to get even messier because TJ still has a lawyer on retainer waiting to sue ABC if they decide to fire him. Yeah, this mess is far from over, but while we wait for it to descend into pure chaos, y'all check out this other very messy video.